Another thing we see, and I love doctors who point this out, as adults age, appetites go down sometimes, and when people are not sleeping as much, things like that. Well, obviously, moving your body is going to take up more energy. You're going to be hungrier and have a healthier appetite. You're going to require more sleep if you move versus just sitting.
Hey there, I'm Amy Connell. Welcome to Graced Health, the podcast for women who want simple and grace-filled ways to take care of themselves and enjoy a little chocolate in the process. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach who wants you to know your eating, movement, and body don't have to be perfect. You just need to be able to do what you're called to do. Did you know that 1 in 4 Americans over the age of 65 fall every year? In fact, falls are the leading cause of fatal injury and the most common cause of non-fatal trauma-related hospital admissions among older adults. And 80% of American older adults have at least one chronic condition, which can limit a person's ability to perform daily activities, cause them to lose their independence, and result in the need for institutional care, in-home caregivers, or other long-term services and support. Why am I telling you this? Because we have people like today's guest, Kelly Spencer, who are here to empower our aging adults to move, to foster independence and lead healthier, happier lives. I'm really excited to introduce Kelly to you. She is an ACE, which is American Council on Exercise certified silver fitness specialist, and her fitness career has taken her from huge mega gyms to boutique fitness studios, country clubs, and even the Grand Botanic Gardens in Singapore. And we actually spend a little bit of time talking about Singapore and Tai Chi and just have some fun with that. One thing, though, in all of Kelly's experience, that one thing that remains constant is her passion for helping each individual obtain his or her individual goal. She's so great at this. Now, before we get to Kelly, I do want to remind you that I have a special free program for anyone who wants strong legs, but maybe their knees won't let them do squats or lunges. If that's you, grab the free guide for 12 movements to strengthen 7 muscles. There's also a video showing you how to do them and 3 customizable workouts plus a bonus warm-up. You can get it at gracedhealth.com/stronglegs. Okay, let's bring on Kelly. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's my first podcast appearance.
Well, I don't know about you, but I often, when I hear podcasts, I have this conversation in my head. I'm like, well, if they asked me that, what would I be saying? Mm-hmm. And you and I think, have a lot of things in common, particularly from the health and fitness perspective. So let's start off by, can you just share a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. My name is Kelly Spencer. I've been in the fitness industry for about a decade and I kind of feel like I've done a little bit of all of it. Like I've been in big mega gyms, I've been in country clubs, I've been in Botanic Gardens, I've been in boutique fitness. And I just felt this calling that there was a group of people who we were eclipsing. And it's the people who need it most is our aging adults. And so I found it on my heart to create Silver Fitness. It'll be, I think we're coming up on 3 years. And so I work with our aging adults one-on-one. I've had some who run circles around me. I've had some we just need to start moving our bodies. And so it's custom for everybody because everybody's different.
So you just really felt that calling. You just felt like, okay, God, you're telling me this and I'm going to jump into it. You don't have like a personal story or anything like which is okay.
No, I do. I guess I do. I guess I should. I do. You see it in the industry all the time that we lived in Singapore for about 3 years. And I was kind of amazed in the sense of I'd go run or walk or even teach classes in the Botanic Gardens. And you'd see these aging adults doing Tai Chi in huge groups or taking nice slow walks. And so in Asia, it was just interesting how they really just never stopped moving, and there was availability for, I always, and I'm not, this is probably sounds like a blanket statement, but we have a lot of better, harder, better, faster, stronger, extreme fitness in America. And it was so nice to see that they really focused on keeping bodies moving no matter what the age, and you just adapt and acclimate for it. I also, my dad is 82. So he was older when I was born, and he's always been active. I mean, he could run circles around me at 82 years old. But one of his favorite lines is, and it's always stuck with me, is he always used to tell me, I can hurt from sitting on the couch, I can hurt from moving, and I choose to move. And I just think it's such a great thing in life of like, you just, our bodies are made to move. And just because we're of a certain age doesn't mean that we should stop moving.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Okay, so I'm actually interested. I did a season back in like beginning of fourth quarter of 2020, and it was focusing on different cultures and there were, how they like to move. And I probably should have called you, I didn't even think about it. I like searched, but I really wanted someone who was Asian. But I think Tai Chi is really interesting, particularly as it relates to our aging body. And then the more I'm learning about the brain health and the breathing, and I think it integrates so much of what we have learned in the Western world, even though it's more of a quote unquote Eastern type of movement. Did you ever participate in that at all?
So, funny story. And there's a gentleman, well, there's several groups in the Singapore Botanic Gardens that would do it every morning. You could go over there and just see big groups of people doing it with a leader. But there was a gentleman, and his name slips my mind. I feel awful, but he was just so kind and so excited. And he kind of did a mix. He'd do a little like low impact aerobics with his little boombox, and then he would go into Tai Chi. And so some of my friends and I got with him and arranged a private class for us to come do kind of in an off period for him. And so that was the only time that I've ever done it. It's amazing, I mean, and you're out there and you're in nature and you're focused on the breath. And, it's just, that's my only experience of Tai Chi. The one fun private class.
Well, I would love to learn a little bit more about it. And it's funny, when I had two babies and a pug, I used to put both of them in the jogging stroller and then, get my dog on a leash and we'd go walking. And here I am, fast, 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 walk, 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 walk. And there was a guide on this, at the same spot every time. And he was out there doing Tai Chi. And I just thought he must look at me and be like, girlfriend, you just need to chill out a little bit.
Oh, I know, right? And it's amazing. I would run a lot of times by myself, but a lot of times I'd walk with a regular group of ladies, and we became friendly with a lot of the Tai Chi participants, and I mean, they just had such a great outlook on the day because that's how they were starting their day, bright and early in the morning. So
yeah, I need to learn a little bit more about it for sure. Okay, so you're talking some about how the community in Singapore just kind of kept moving, and how beneficial that is. So a lot of my listeners are around my age. I'm 46, so 35, 55, somewhere around there. But we're starting to see our parents get a little bit older. And I think, like you talked about, there are different spectrums of their activity levels. So how can we encourage our parents to move, but without it being nagging? Because there comes that time, right, that we're like all of a sudden go from the child to the mom, you should be doing this, or dad, you should be doing that. What are you learning from your clients about the best way to for us as children to motivate our parents as they're getting older?
Right. Well, and you're so right. I mean, the funny thing about fitness and exercise and health and everything is it doesn't change in the sense of like what motivates a person. So we know that different people are motivated in different ways. And you do not want to, like you said, try to nag people into it. But in the same sense, you're doing it for their own good. And so I just always, focus on encouraging our aging adults to move for the same reasons you and I would. We focus on the positive feelings that we get from it. We focus on the joy that we find from it. Another thing to bring up, and I know that this is really important to so many, be it the child and the parent, is it has shown us that it helps maintain the ability to live independently longer. So obviously, the stronger your body is, the better balance you have, the less likely you will fall, things like that. So you have that independence longer, which is the goal, for I think most of us is to keep that going. It also maintains healthy bones and joints. So, pain is less, we can work through some things like that. We talked about the joy earlier, but it reduces anxiety, reduces depression. And my goodness, I think 2020 and on into 2021 has been so much harder on our older population than we have ever realized. I have clients who in the past were able to go meet with friends and they'd walk the mall and they'd go to lunch, and all of that has kind of subsided. So we've had to find different ways to reduce that anxiety and feel happy. And movement's definitely, a way to go. And it boosts your self-confidence. And then another thing too, and as you know, it improves cognitive function. There's study after study after study to show that moving our bodies and exercising helps our brain health and reduces chances for dementia. And it's never, ever too late to start. So I think just focusing on those positives without being negative and commending, if mom or dad tells you they made it for a walk that afternoon, I mean, that is so awesome, and just really focus on the positives of it rather than making it a chore. I'm huge on exercise being a positive, fun thing. It should not be something you dread doing by any means.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a really great summary of the benefits. And, as I've gotten older, those are the things that are more important to me than like a number on a scale or, my body size or anything like that, because that's the kind of stuff that's going to keep me alive doing the things that I love to do. It's like this upward spiral, right? Like the more I can take care of myself, not too hard, not go, 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 go. But the more I can do that, then it's going to be, I always talk about training for a vibrant life. Like I'd rather be vibrant and have my brain health there and cognitive and feeling good and all of that kind of stuff. That's a really good summary. Okay. So, most of my community is pretty active. And if their parents come to them or anyone really who is of that older population, and they're like, well, what should I be doing? Or what's something I should be focusing on? What, as a trainer specifically to that older population, what kind of things should they be focusing on in their movement?
I'm an ACE senior fitness specialist, and a big focus on training within that is balance. And, as we age, no matter how active we are, our balance, it just not as great, right? Like I watch my kids who are obviously closer to the ground than I am and can do whatever they want. And so focusing on balance, there's really simple exercises that you can do. You can, I always say you can grab a counter and work on calf raises, and that also will help your ankle mobility as well too, because sometimes our joints, obviously, as we flexible and we want to avoid twisted ankles, things like that. And you can lightly hold onto the counter, go calf raises up and down, challenge yourself a little bit more. You can close your eyes as you do it, and that'll even make you work your balance a little bit more. I always go back to just a simple walk. That just getting your body moving, getting your heart rate up, being outside if the weather's nice, it just helps so much mentally that it kind of goes back to the old adage of like, do it for 10 minutes, you'll feel like doing it for 20. Light stretching, our flexibility decreases as we age. And so just light stretching, even, sitting in a chair and taking your leg out and just reaching down ever so slightly, but where there's not a deep pull, So just things like that, things that you would think are very simple movements, but they really do make a big difference if you integrate them into your everyday practice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the balance. I cannot agree more. And in fact, one of the things that I recommend to people is stand on one leg when you're brushing your teeth. Stand on your right leg in the
Mm-hmm.
morning and left leg in the evening, or, or vice versa or whatever. But just incorporating that into everyday movements, because I think sometimes people think like, oh, this is just one more thing I have to do. And if there's all these things that you're telling me to do, and then it's going to take me an hour just to do that kind of stuff. And then I want, and then maybe I want to, if they want to do more. So a lot of it can be done, just incorporate, you're just working their way naturally into their day.
Yes, absolutely. And I have clients who are really good about keeping just really light dumbbells on their sofas. And if they're going to watch a show in the evening, they'll just do some bicep curls, just exactly what you're talking about. Just if you're going to be watching TV anyway, take it during a commercial break and,
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
like that.
Totally. Okay, so let's go to the other spectrum. What are some things that perhaps the aging population should avoid that maybe we don't think about yet?
Right. Well, I mean, before I work with clients too, I always like to know that they discuss with their doctor and have medical clearance to start any exercise program, because as we age, there could be underlying things that we just want to make sure that everything's clear and going. As far as with aging adults, it is different for every single person simply because of the fitness level and pre-existing conditions and things like that. Some things though that, are easy to say to avoid is obviously if you're starting a fitness program for the first time and you are, um, you know, in that aging population, definitely don't want to start with a high intensity. We don't want to, if you've never run before, we don't want to see you running immediately. That's definitely goals, and you can work to that if the doctor clears it and we feel like we get to that point. It really, I always like to be careful with backs and know before we do some things that we're not doing anything that's going to irritate the low back. I mean, I don't typically implement deadlifts or anything like that. So just to kind of, it's different for every person, but I would say just, the real intense stuff, kind of hold off on that. We can modify anything and still get a great workout.
Yeah, I totally agree. And especially if they've had but heart issues or heart
Mm-hmm.
surgeries or something like that. Yeah. And that's a hard one too, because there is a lot of benefit, not only metabolic, but oh gosh, now it's also escaping me, but there's a lot of benefit to that high intensity training. And, I've had people who are in their 70s saying, well, what about this? And how can I lose weight? And, I'm like, first of all, I'm not an expert in this area, but secondly, like, I'm not comfortable with your cardiac condition. Not that it's like something terrible, but I'm like, I don't want to be the one to blow your heart out. So I'm not going to have you do.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And it kind of circles back to what we were talking about at the beginning is there's a lot of benefits from more simple exercises. We've gotten to a point where, and I'm a big believer in HIIT and things like that too, depending on your fitness level. But yeah, there's so many benefits for just those balance training exercises and the walks and things like that. And they all can do wonders.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Do you have any easy ways for this population to incorporate movement into their day-to-day? I mean, I know we've talked a little bit about it, but do you have any other ones that you might suggest?
Um, you know, and this is probably the 18th time I've said it, walking, just because
Yes.
it makes me feel so good. I'm a big fan of those resistance bands too. You can order them on Amazon and they're $5 maybe. And once again, something you could set on your couch. And you can work with your ankle mobility. You can do some different things with upper body work while you're watching the show. Another thing that we've talked, to go back to the balance and things, standing up and sitting down out of a chair. So if you're going to get up anyway, get up a couple times
Yeah.
to balance. And so just little things like that will make a big difference. I love your brushing teeth on one leg. That's so smart. I'm totally going to borrow that. So things like that. And I think that there's an empowerment of being able to say, I'm just little pieces at a time, and feeling really accomplished. Just if you can implement one or two new habits here and there, it will help. So just really, really simple things. It doesn't have to be anything that you clear time.
Yeah, I totally agree. You talk about the resistant bands. So first I want to clarify, not that it really matters because I know both, I'm a big fan of both of them, but do you mean like the bands with the handles, or do you mean the loops that are like 12-inch? So we all, how it is, Kelly, like you and I could go into a class and we could teach the exact same class and use completely different language in about half of it.
Yeah.
So I want to clarify what you're talking about just for my own curiosity.
Well, I use both of them. So I actually don't have any with handles. So I have just the good old, I always think of like physical therapy. If they could like tear them off,
Okay.
yellow.
Like the TheraBands.
TheraBands, yeah. So we use a lot of TheraBands that you could totally use. But I also, one great exercise for aging adults, if knee issues are not a problem, we use the round bands too for like things like monster walks, where you could, walking side to side, and hip abductions, if you're comfortable to go down on the floor and things like that. So we'll use those too. So, but, sitting on the couch, I would just have a TheraBand and work your chest, work your biceps, work your ankles, things like that.
Yeah, it really does not have to be too complicated. And yeah, you talk about the bands for all of the monster walks. Like I think those I call duck walks.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, by the time this comes out, I will have just finished a month of squat free strong legs because not everybody can do squats and lunges. So yeah, putting that on my Instagram feed. But yeah, that kind of stuff, like just strengthening those muscles maybe one at a time rather than as a functional movement like a squat or a lunge or something like that. Yeah. I have to just plug this really quickly.
Yeah.
I have resistance bands that I love to get, or for my clients if they ever need them. And so they come in a 5-pack. And so these are the ones with the handles. But what I love about them is they clip on, the handles are interchangeable. So then you can also put like one handle to 2 bands if you need a little bit more. And this particular kind has a fabric on it because I've had bands snap on my clients before. And
I know. Isn't that your biggest fear? I'm always like, oh.
It happened like 3 times in one class one time. And what I finally realized is I had several that I had been storing in my garage. And, here in the Houston area, you can't do that. So that was really, so anyway, I found these ones with the fabric. So if they ever snap, they're not going to hit anyone in the face or the chest or anything else. Anyway, side note.
Nice. No, that's all great information.
I'm curious if there is anything else, I don't know about you, Kelly, but sometimes I hear people talking and I'm like, I just want to tell them like, oh no, it doesn't have to be perfect or, whatever is on my heart. What kind of thing is pressing on your heart for our community to know about encouraging fitness and healthy aging in the aging population?
Well, I think I love your approach. It doesn't have to be perfect. Every little bit counts, and it's never, ever, ever too late. That's the biggest thing too. Is I'll talk to clients who will say like, I do this. I've never done this. Study after study shows that if you start at 70 and you've never done anything, you're still going to get benefits from that exercise. And it's even more important for us to start doing it, not give up. And so, because as people, we're living longer and longer and longer, we're not necessarily living healthier and happier. So, having that exercise is just such an important piece. And the other piece of it that I keep going back to, and we talked a lot about the benefits at the beginning, is just, it's not even just the physical part of it, it's the mental and emotional part of it. And aging is hard, right? Like it's hard to see yourself change. It's hard in 2020 and 2021. It's a hard thing to do, and we all go through it if we're fortunate enough to do so. And so getting that, those endorphins and just the feeling of accomplishment and happiness out of just moving your body, I just think it's once you start doing it, you don't want to stop. And so it's just kind of getting people, to know that it's okay, take a first step, and there's going to be someone out there who can help you decide what that step, what might work for you. So I just always say, keep moving, keep going, kind of be like my dad. Don't, don't sit on the couch and hurt. You're like, don't work out, be a little sore. There's a big difference between ooh and ow, right? But no, that's my biggest thing is I want to empower people to want to do it and see and feel the benefits no matter what their age.
Well, and yeah, you brought so many good points to that, especially it's never, ever, ever too late. I mean, I think that's great. And I don't know about you, but as I'm getting older, like I still feel 25 sometimes. And I know that when you get to be, your body starts declining a little bit because that's the natural aging process. But I have to imagine they don't, a lot of people don't necessarily feel like they're 73. Maybe they feel like they're 43. And so bridging that gap a little bit between the chronological age and the body age, and you can actually go the other way too, right? Like by eating the right foods and moving the right way and, all of that kind of stuff, you can actually reverse that. But trying to get that as close together without like feeling like you're so much younger, feeling in your mind like you're so much younger than your body is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you brought up so many good points in that too. Another thing we see, and I love doctors who point this out as adults age, appetites go down sometimes and they don't, people are not sleeping as much, things like that. Well, obviously moving your body is going to take up more energy. You're going to be hungrier and have a healthier appetite. You're going to require more sleep if you move versus just sitting. So things like that we see changes in as we age, exercise can really kind of help stabilize all of that.
Great point. Awesome. All right, Kelly, tell people how they can get in touch with you if they want to learn more or maybe use you as a personal trainer to their silver person in their life.
Yeah. No, I have a website. It's silverfitnessonthego.com. So you can click there. You can find things about me, my phone number, email, all that's listed there. I have a Facebook page, Silver Fitness. So you should be able to find that pretty easily. I love Instagram. I haven't bridged Silver Fitness over to the Instagram world. So maybe someday, but I'm available and I'm always happy to help and just answer questions and just the more people we can get moving, the better.
Amen. Amen. I totally agree. Okay. I have 2 more questions, which are kind of different, but one is I am fascinated by tattoos. I found that I have a lot of interesting conversations because with people who have tattoos, oftentimes because you put a lot of thought into it. So I was wondering if you have any, would you share if what it is and if it has meaning? And if you don't have one, if you had to get one, what would it be and where would it go?
Oh my goodness. I don't have any. And I've never really thought about it. But okay, but now you got me thinking, and I'm very passionate about this. In fact, this has come up for years in our marriage. So it's not. I don't have a tattoo, but this is not just like a normal tattoo. But I had a sorority sister in college who had her lipstick tattooed on her lips, and she would wake up and just look like she was ready for the day. And I was always fascinated by it. And it was like a light enough color that if she wanted to go red so I always say to my husband, I think I would love to have my lips done, like color. So maybe I would do that. That's very boring, but no, I've never really thought enough to say like what I would do for just a normal tattoo, but I would definitely love a little pink.
Well, okay, so I look like death if I do not have lipstick on. And I think people have seen that because I'm not afraid to put my makeupless face out there. But I had a sorority sister who did that as well. And she loved it for a little bit. And now this was 20 years ago when she did this. So maybe the technology has changed.
Right, same.
But she said it wore off really quickly. And that she felt like she had to get it redone. So I'm like, well, I don't want to do that if I'm going to have to go through that. But yeah, man, I would love to have some color on my lips.
Yeah, right? I know.
Yeah, I totally get that. Okay. And then, do you have a meaningful Bible verse that you would like to share with our community?
I do. If 2020 and 2021 taught us anything, I hope, is that we're not in control. And so one that I keep written down and keep it on my desk is 1 Peter 5:7. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. And I just got a shiver. I'm a type A personality. So I like to control. I like to know what's happening. I like to, and the last year it's been a good lesson of, you can try to control all you want, but you sure can't. And he still cares. And it's rather than worry, pray.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. That's great. And you are right. Boy, I tell you what, if the last 12, 13 months have taught us anything, it is that we are not in control for sure. Oh gosh. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for coming on. This has been fantastic. You bring a lot of wisdom, and it's just a reminder to just keep moving. Just keep moving. Pete McCall was on the podcast earlier. I'll put the link in the show notes, but he has this whole book on ageless intensity that's coming out, and same thing. Just if wherever you are, just keep moving. And as you say, it's never too late to start. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. I can't thank you enough for having me. I really appreciate it.
These are the kinds of conversations that really remind me of my own personal why, which is to live a vibrant life for as long as possible. I love what Kelly is doing in that she is helping other people live their own vibrant lives. Make sure you check her out on the socials, connect with her through the links in the show notes, and she does do virtual training. So whether or not you live near her or not, you can connect the aging adult in your life. And I know she would be happy to work with them. Don't forget to get your squat free strong legs program over at gracedhealth.com/stronglegs. And I always hate asking this, but if you find value in the show, would you bless me with a $5 virtual cup of coffee? The reality is there's a lot of back-end costs associating with producing this podcast and all of the content that's on my website and the socials. It's all free to you. I'm so happy to serve you in this way, but it's not free to me. So any one-time or monthly support you can give is greatly appreciated. You can just do that at buymeacoffee.com/Amy Connell. The link's in the show notes. And if that's not in your budget, just sharing any episode to even one friend or your Facebook friends really helps. Leaving a review, subscribing /following. Apple's actually changing the terminology to follow, but that is all really helpful as well. Plus, the benefit to subscribing and following is then you don't have to go search for new episodes. They're just sent right to you. What's the one simple thing I want you to remember, which is something I try and leave you with every conversation? That is, if you are helping your aging parent or loved one along in your life, encourage them with one or both of these ways. Number one, encourage them to stand up and sit down just a few extra times anytime they are moving from one place to another. And two, incorporate balance whenever they can. It makes such a huge difference and can really help prevent those falls we talked about at the beginning. Okay, that is all for today. Go out there and have a graced day.